We often talk about happiness, chasing it like a butterfly. But what if our brains are wired, not for constant joy, but for something much more basic, survival? Think about it. For thousands of years, humans faced real dangers. Wild animals, famine, conflict. Our ancestors needed to be alert, focused on avoiding threats. Happiness wasn't a priority. Staying alive was. This survival instinct is deeply ingrained in us. It's not just a feeling. It's a complex system of responses in our brain. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped part, plays a huge role. It's our brain's alarm system, constantly scanning for danger, even subtle ones. A sudden loud noise, a shadow moving quickly, these trigger the amygdala, setting off a chain reaction. Your heart races, your breathing gets faster, your senses sharpen. That's your body preparing for fight or flight, ancient responses designed to protect you. But what about happiness? Where does that fit into this survival focus system? Well, happiness, or rather, the feeling of safety and security, is closely tied to survival. When we feel safe, our brains release endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that make us relax and feel content. It's a reward system, essentially telling us, you're safe, you've survived, you can relax now. This positive feedback loop reinforces behaviors that lead to safety and security, strengthening our survival chances. So, are we programmed for happiness? Not directly. We're programmed for survival, and happiness comes as a byproduct of it. Think of it like this. You're not programmed to eat just for the pleasure of tasting food. You eat to survive. The pleasure of eating is a bonus, a reinforcement that keeps us eating the things that nourish us. Happiness is similar. It reinforces behaviors that ensure our survival and the survival of our species. However, modern life presents a challenge. Our ancestors faced immediate, tangible threats. We face different ones. Financial worries, social anxieties, the constant pressure of social media. These threats are less physical, but they still trigger our amygdala, leading to stress and anxiety. Our brains aren't easily able to distinguish between a charging lion and a looming deadline. They react similarly. This is why constant stress impacts our well-being. This doesn't mean we're doomed to unhappiness. Understanding our survival-oriented brains helps us manage our response to stress. We can learn to recognize when our amygdala is hijacking our emotions. We can use techniques like mindfulness and deep breathing to calm our nervous systems, reminding our brains we're safe. We can also actively seek out experiences that provide a sense of security and connection, strengthening that positive feedback loop that promotes well-being. The pursuit of happiness is important, but acknowledging our innate drive for survival helps us understand our emotional responses, particularly stress and anxiety. It sheds light on why certain situations trigger strong reactions, even if they are not life-threatening in a traditional sense. It isn't about ignoring our feelings. It's about understanding the biological mechanisms behind them. This understanding allows us to take better control of our responses and cultivate a sense of well-being that supports our long-term survival, both physically and emotionally. It's about finding balance between our primal instincts and the complexities of our modern world. It's about building a life where survival and happiness can coexist, not as opposites, but as partners in a successful and fulfilling life. Consider the challenges of social connection in today's digital age. Loneliness is a significant issue, despite being surrounded by technology and seemingly limitless ways to communicate. While our ancestors relied on close-knit communities for survival, we can sometimes feel isolated even within large networks. This disconnect triggers our brain's survival mechanisms, leading to feelings of anxiety and unease. This reflects a conflict between our evolved need for social connection and the often fragmented nature of modern social interactions. This emphasizes the need for intentional effort in building meaningful relationships and fostering strong community bonds. It's not enough to passively participate in social media. We need to cultivate genuine connections. And that's where happiness comes in. These connections offer security, belonging, and a sense of purpose, all crucial aspects of well-being. They trigger the release of endorphins and other positive neurochemicals, helping to counteract the stress and anxiety of our modern world. The challenge lies in consciously choosing to engage in relationships and activities that nurture our sense of belonging. reflecting a mindful approach to both our biological needs and our aspirations for happiness. Ultimately, the interplay between our survival instincts and our desire for happiness is intricate and ongoing. It requires self-awareness, intentional actions, and a continuous effort to understand the complex mechanisms within our own minds. We are not merely victims of our programming. We are capable of shaping our responses and consciously creating a life where survival and happiness thrive together. So, are we programmed for happiness or survival? The answer, perhaps, is both. And the key to a fulfilling life lies in understanding and harmonizing these two powerful forces within us.